He came home in the morning. He said he was going to work. He actually
Disturbing cases of people disappearing into the woods. Number 6. Trenny Lynn Gibson. On October 8, 1976, Trenny Gibson, a 16 years old from Knoxville, Tennessee, was never seen again after she went to the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. Together with 35 to 40 of her classmates from Bearden High School, the students started hiking from Andrews Bowl to Clintman's Dome and then back again along the Fawney Ridge Trail with just one teacher and bus driver to supervise. During the hike, the students separated into several smaller groups. Trenny was seen with several groups of her classmates at different times throughout the day, but she was last seen at 3 p.m. around Clintman's Dome when she left the path after spotting something. She was never seen again. Her disappearance was strange because there were people in front of and behind her. The trail was popular with hikers and walkers, yet no one saw her. Dogs were sent out to follow her scent, but the trail went cold by a roadside. Many people believed she was kidnapped and taken away, but many think a kidnapper would not risk having more than 30 people witness the abduction. Some people say Trenny may have been forced to hide at Clintman's Dome Tower or went there on her own, since this area wasn't searched during the time. The search continued until October 1976, but there was no sign of the young girl. Unfortunately, to this day, her case remains unsolved. Number 5. Gary Mathias. On the night of February 24, 1978, Gary Mathias, Jackie Hewitt, Ted Wire, Jack Madruga, and William Sterling, all from Yuba, California, headed to California State University to watch a basketball game. All 5 men suffered from mild mental or psychiatric issues, but none of them prevented them from functioning properly in society. When the group of young men didn't return, friends and family started worrying. A few days later, the car was found abandoned up a winding mountain pass in the Plumas National Forest at the northern point of the Sierra Nevada. The car was found in working condition. It only had a few empty food wrappers and drinks bottles inside. When the snow melted months later in June, a local man reported the trailer and the police found the dead body of Ted Wire inside. He appeared to have died from starvation despite having food available in the trailer. He was also badly frostbitten, even though there was a fireplace and warm clothes, which he could have used. Later, 20 miles away from the abandoned car, the bones of Bill Sterling, Jack Hughes, and Jack Madruga were found. They died from hypothermia. However, Gary was never found. To this day, no one can figure out their mysterious death. In video number 1, a popular 17-year-old kid mysteriously vanished into air. Check out video number 1 for all the harrowing details. Number 4. Patricia Meehan. Patricia Meehan was a 37-year-old who spent most of her life in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. In 1986, she moved to Bozeman, Montana, and worked as a ranch hand because of her love for animals. On April 20, 1989, Patricia was seen by her landlord, but he felt something was off with her. At around 18:15 p.m., when a woman named Peggy Bueller and her father were driving on Montana Highway 2000, they saw a car driving straight toward them. Peggy's car swerved away to avoid a collision, but the car behind them was run into. Carol Hines, an off-duty police dispatcher, was in that car. However, she was unharmed. Peggy and her father pulled over to help. Then a blonde woman emerged from the window of the other car. She walked up to Carol, but she was looking right through her. Afterward, she walked towards a nearby fence and climbed over it. Then she turned around and looked at the scene of the crash for some time. Eventually, she turned around and walked into the field and disappeared completely. Soon after, police identified Patricia as the driver of that vehicle. The police then followed the trail of shoe prints, but by 3 a.m. they had to give up because the tracks had disappeared. A search started in the nearby mountains and terrain, but there was no trace of her. Some believe that she suffered retrograde amnesia because of the accident and was unable to recall who she was or her life. She might not have been aware she was even in an accident at all. Number 3. Cowden Family. During the Labor Day weekend of 1974, the Cowden family went to the Rogue River National Forest campground in Oregon to camp. On September 2nd, 28 years old Richard Cowden and his 5 years old son David were seen inside a general store at around 9 a.m. They bought milk and were seen leaving on foot towards their campsite where Belinda Cowden and her 4-month-old daughter Melissa were staying. That evening, the family was supposed to have dinner at Belinda's mother's, who lived close by. When the family didn't arrive, the mother decided to head to the campsite instead, but she couldn't find anyone there. After several minutes of searching, she reported to the police. A huge search operation was launched, but despite the efforts with the help of various agencies, no trace of the family was ever found. On April 12, 1975, two gold prospectors discovered the decomposing body of Richard tied to a tree close to a hillside. Nearby, there was a small cave, and inside, the bodies of Belinda, David, and Melissa were found. These bodies were identified using dental records since the bodies were so badly decomposed. According to the autopsy, Belinda and David were shot using a .22 caliber gun, and Richard's cause of death couldn't be determined. A 25-year-old man named Dwayne Little was a suspect at the time. He had just been paroled 3 months before for raping and murdering a teenager. Police discovered he was also in the area of the campsite on Labor Day weekend. A former inmate who shared time with Little said he admitted to killing the Cowden family, but Little has never been officially linked or charged directly for the family's murder. Number 2. Jared Negretti. On July 19, 1991, a 12-year-old boy named Jared Negretti went on a camping trip with his scout troop, which consisted of 14 other boys. The trip was to the summit of Mount San Gorgonio in San Bernardino National Forest in Southern California. On the trip, Jared was wearing green pants and a tan shirt, carrying a canteen of water along with some snacks. Around 6 p.m., 1,000 feet away from the summit, another group of hikers spotted Jared struggling behind and notified the scoutmaster at the summit. He was seen shortcutting on his way down the trail and was told to stay on the trail. The scoutmaster said he would pick up Jared on the way down. When he finally reached down the mountain to pick up Jared, he was nowhere to be found. The scoutmaster then looked the other scouts back to base camp and then hiked about 5 miles in the dark to get help. When a search was conducted to find Negretti, a camera was found that may have belonged to him. Most pictures on the camera were of the surrounding landscape, while the last image was a close-up of Jared's face. Only his eyes and nose are visible in the photo though. Shoe prints were also found at about 10,000 feet matching those of Negretti. His backpack, as well as some beef jerky and candy wrappers were also found, but Negretti himself could not be located. Now let's look at video number 1. This is quite a mysterious disappearance. Number 1. Craig Freer. Craig Freer, a 17-year-old boy from Scotia, New York, was a star soccer player at the Scotia Glenville High School and about to be named captain of his team. There were a few colleges interested in offering Craig a scholarship for his athletic abilities. On June 27, 2004, he was seen by his parents walking out of his home for work. But when Craig's mother, Veronica, went shopping at the supermarket he works at, she didn't find him. Veronica learned that Craig had actually lost his job after 2 months. Craig's parents called his girlfriend since he left his phone behind, and it turned out that he was with her. Veronica asked Craig to come home right away. Then he left his girlfriend's place. According to his girlfriend, he walked towards his car but then stood still for a moment, then drove off in the opposite direction as if something had scared him. When Craig didn't return home, Veronica reported her son missing. During the investigation, a few teenagers came forward to tell police that they had seen Craig walking along the railroad tracks behind his ex-girlfriend's apartment. Shortly after, he was seen entering the woods. When they called out his name, he motioned them to be quiet with his finger to his lips and just kept on walking into the woods. A search continued up and down the railway line with no luck. Police dogs were used while searching the woods and the nearby Mohawk River. But all these searches resulted in nothing. Craig had just vanished into thin air. After a few months, the search was stopped. Craig's parents are still hoping that one day they'll learn the truth about what happened to their son. To this day, no one can understand why a 17-year-old with such a bright future just vanished into the woods. Can't get enough of these videos? Then check out our next video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.